So on to chapter 17. So we have just met the mysterious but intriguing Professor Byzantine, and he's coming onto the ship with them. So I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. Let's go. After their adventures on Leo 5, the Sunfire felt warm and welcoming. As they climbed back on board, Lucky was glad to feel his hooves locking onto the ship's surfaces once more. It was good to smell the strange scent of gunpowder, chocolate, and spice again. It seemed reassuringly familiar now. Mystica and the captain were waiting for them in the hold. Mystica was wearing her turquoise robe and headscarf. All her golden rings were gleaming, as if she'd polished them up specially. She beamed when she saw Professor Byzantine, and above him, Bazooka the Phoenix, flapping onto the ship with infectious glee. "Welcome, welcome, my old friends," she called. She clapped her hands with delight, filling the air with joyful jingles. "Mystica, Grand Axe," said the professor. "You are a sight for sore eyes." "Bazooka!" greeted a little phoenix, landing on her shoulder. Mystica smiled, and her eyes shone like the sun. "Oh, it is good to see you, old comrades. I missed you so much. I remember when you first came to him, Bazooka. You were just a little chick." She stroked the phoenix, and Bazooka's feathers glowed with warmth. "Tell me, how do I look?" "Magnificent," said Professor Byzantine, bowing gallantly. "You are as radiant as ever." It was true. Mystica seemed to light up in the professor's presence, and the professor, for his part, seemed much warmer and more affectionate than he had on Leo. Before Lucky's eyes, the two old star-talkers appeared to shed the years. He could easily imagine what they must have been like in the past, when they were young and strong. Professor Byzantine was flattering Mystica shamelessly. "Did you know she was a sensation in her day?" he was telling Frolics and Bixer. "Songs were written about her eyes of gold and lustrous long hair." Mystica looked embarrassed and even a little sad. Then a small smile spread across her face. "I was quite something back then, wasn't I?" she said. She led them through the cloistered corridors, hobbling slowly but purposefully towards the Sunfire's main cabin. As they went, Lucky told her everything they'd learned on Leo 5. "Well, at least you know more about your father," she said, her stick clacking on the ground. She glanced at the professor. "What do you think, old friend? Can you help him with his astrolabe?" "Why, of course I can," said the old axer, and his words gave Lucky hope. But then the professor edged ahead to walk beside Mystica, and his voice dropped very low. "However, if his father is on the other side of the space wall, well, that is a dangerous place, and this is a dangerous time. Something has gone dreadfully wrong with the galaxy. The stars themselves are in peril. Do you not feel it?" Mystica's reply was so quiet, Lucky had to strain to overhear the words. "Of course, I feel it in my own body." The professor twisted his whiskers. "Many feel it in their minds. Everywhere there is the suspicion that nothing means anything anymore. The living death is spreading, and so are these strange stories. The wolf that eats the stars." "What is it, this wolf?" shuddered Mystica. "I would give anything to know," said Professor. "I suspect its origin lies in the Aquarius system, but I've heard no word from Aquarius for a year now. I dread to think what the humans are doing there under cover of the blockade. There is but one source of hope: the return of the 12 Astreas." Mystica's face lit up. "Ah, so you have dreamed of them too?" "Indeed I have, every night." They had reached the silver archway at the entrance to the main cabin. Lucky's skin prickled as he glimpsed the walls inside. The vid screens were all gleaming like stained glass in a cathedral, showing images of those amazing people with their wings and halos, their tridents and scythes, holding whole worlds in their hands. But who exactly are the 12 Astreas? He couldn't help asking. Are they gods? Mystica turned to him and smiled, eyes shining. They've been carved there and many other things through history. Gods, angels, devils, demons, all the supernatural beings you've ever heard of. But we call them the 12 Estrellas. They go right back to the beginning of everything. Always they were there, at the creation of the universe, at the dawn of Earth, and then later, as we spread out across the stars and found our way to this galaxy, every culture has known them. Images like this have been found in the ruins of every ancient civilization. They have taken, I went northern then, they have taken different forms in different times and places, but always the images point back to the same 12 beings, the same magnificent immortals, returning time and time again. Lucky gazed at the shimmering images and wondered if such stories could be true. Have you ever seen one? He asked. Oh, if only, she said. The Estrellas have not been seen for countless years, generations. And what makes you think they'll come now, when they haven't for so long? Said Captain Knox. He moved to stand by the two Star-Talkers, while Lucky, Bixer and Frolics hung back behind him. They come at the time of greatest need, said Mystica. When could the need be greater than now, when the galaxy is torn apart by suffering and war? But what if they've abandoned us? Said the captain quietly. What if they were never real in the first place? Never real? Said the professor, visibly shocked. Where were they when Joxy and Jonathan died? Asked the captain. Where were they when we lost our homes and had to leave our worlds? They will come, insisted the professor. I believe they're in Aquarius right now. They must surely be somewhere behind the wall. Why else would the humans be expending such vast resources if not to hide great secrets? I say we take the bull by the horns. We should cross the wall and find the 12 Estrellas ourselves. Mystica nodded in agreement. The professor is right, she murmured. We must cross the space wall and go into the war zone. Captain Knox stared at them and shook his head. No, he said simply. We are doing no such thing. Lucky's insides tangled as he listened. For if the Sunfire crossed the space wall, then he'd be so much closer to finding his father. And yet the captain's fears troubled him too. But everything points to it, said Professor Byzantine. Everything lies out there, beyond the wall. The 12 Estrellas, the wolf that eats the stars. Even this boy's father. The boy, said Knox darkly. I fail to see the relevance. The professor's eyes glinted. I feel sure he has some part to play in all this. Perhaps he is a new kind of star-talker, or perhaps he is a guide. Someone the stars have sent to help lead us to the 12. He glanced at Lucky, who shivered at his words. In any event, we must go back. After everything that happened, said the captain, and everything they did to us, if you think that, then you are a fool, Professor. Ozymandias, said Mystica sharply. He is our guest. And he is proposing a course of action that will destroy us all. There was a silence for a moment, deadlock. The captain and the professor stared at each other, totally still. The air itself grew taut and tense between them. Lucky watched, heart in mouth, waiting to see who would blink first. What happened to you, Captain? Said Professor Byzantine at last. You used to be the most fearless pilot in the galaxy. It was only your courage that saved Frolics and Bixer from the dark matter bombs all those years ago. Frolics and Bixer flinched at his words, but Knox just kept staring at the professor, his eyes burning. The safety of my crew is my sole concern, he said. I will not allow this foolishness to endanger them. Ozymandias Nox, blazed Mystica, her eyes flaring like the sun, her voice so grand all of a sudden that even the captain's authority was eclipsed. We're star talkers, and the stars themselves are in danger. This is no time for safety. Set a course for the space wall. Nox blinked. He seemed to shrink a little.
But Mystica!
The decision, she said, is made. She took a decisive step around across the threshold into the main cabin. Around her, the vidpix of the 12 Astraeus shimmered and shone, haloing her with light. Then she turned and held a hand out to the captain. Of course, she said more softly. You are still the master of this ship and the finest navigator in the galaxy. I would far rather it was you who took us across the wall than anyone. But please understand, my dear, we are going there, whether you come with us or not. The captain pulled away from her, eyes clenched shut. Sometimes, he said almost to himself, I wish you weren't a Star Walker, Mystica Grand Axe. He shook his head in sorrow. Oh, what's the point? He muttered as he walked away towards the cockpit. What does it matter what I think? It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter anymore. And then he was gone. Everyone breathed out again. Mystica sighed deeply. Her eyes stopped blazing and her hands started to shake. I'm sorry about that, she said. The captain is not himself, and he has not been since those terrible times. He is not wrong to fear what lies beyond the wall, said Professor Byzantine, as they followed her through the archway into the cabin. Everything we hope for is out there, but so is everything we dread. And if your father is somewhere in the midst of that chaos, boy, then you need to know precisely where. So let us look at your astrolabe and see if we can find you an answer. So, chapter 17 over. What a chapter. Questions for you. Why did Captain Nox behave in such the way he did? Such reluctance to take them to the space wall? Where did that come from? What relationship did the Professor and Mystica have in the past? There seems to be a very close bond there. Where has that come from? Why did Bixer and Frolix shudder so much about being saved from the dark matter? Why is that affecting them so much? Any other questions you've got, let me know. I am really interested. And I was going to call it a day there, but we're going to have one more chapter. Chapter 18. Right, brace yourselves.